Welcome everyone. So today we're going to tackle the calendar application. Now, a calendar application is pretty straightforward. You essentially create a calendar and you add events to it. We also have a way to group multiple calendars, which I'll dig into later in this tutorial. So entering this application, as you can see, if you had no events, as default, we show you the week view. You can obviously click on the month, day, and list as well, just to show you what that looks like when you actually have events. This is the week view. This is the month view. The nice thing about the month view is if you do have a lot of events in your, each day, we do show like a plus 11 or a plus 12. You can simply click on that button, which will then give you, again, another little breakdown of all the events that are happening within that day. And again, just visually, just to show you what the day view would look like along with the list view. All right, so as mentioned, the very first thing we need to do is obviously create a calendar. Once we create a calendar, then we add those events. So to do so, you hit the button up here in the top left that says create, and we hit new calendar. From there, you fill out a calendar name, you enter a time zone, and then you choose a template. Now, not to get too technical or spend too much time on the template, but for a majority of you, a lot of you are going to be on this default template. This template really has to do with the type of metadata that is getting sort of digested into our ETL software. Again, not trying to spend too much time on it, but what I can tell you is a majority of you will be on the default template. If you are an Ice Arena and you do have like home away schedules and away or home like information that you want to display, then you would be on this template. Once you sort of fill out this information, you then choose a color, right? So that's going to help you distinguish, especially when you have like lots of calendars, that is going to help you distinguish what events get tied to what calendar. So it is important to choose a color. Once you fill out this information, then you simply just hit the create button and your calendar is created. Once the calendar is created, the second part is obviously to add events. So there's a couple ways that you can add events. One is simply going back to the create button and hitting new event. From there, you would reselect the calendar and then fill out your event information. So maybe it's a HIT class, start date, end date. Maybe it's something that repeats weekly, right? Maybe it's something that's every Monday and every Thursday. But you can see that we have all these different options that will sort of help you with whatever, again, that reoccurring that event might be. Of course, we have the location and description. Know that those fields are obviously optional. And again, you could just have it run all day as well. Once you create the event, you hit create, and again, that event will display on your calendar. Now, another way that you can essentially add an event, and I personally just like to do it on the month view, but the other way is you can simply just click on the calendar itself. So when you click on the calendar, really what you're doing is you're just creating an event that has a start date and end date. Now, going back to like my HIT class scenario, if I needed it to essentially like repeat, right? It's like a reoccurring event. Then I would go to more options, which again is going to bring me into this page that you and I just walked through, which is going to allow you then to add that repeat. All right, so that's how you sort of create a calendar. That's how you add events to the calendar. The last and final thing is groups. So the way to explain groups is if you have multiple calendars, and I always use like a fitness, I'll say like a rec center as an example. Because when we go to like a YMCA or like a GCC, there's tons of other like fitness recs out there, but they usually have a lot of classes, right? They usually have, like HIT classes, yoga classes, rowing classes, maybe even like stretching classes, right? So they have tons of calendars. And what Group does is Group allows you to take all those calendars and group them together. And the point of that is really when it comes to your signage. So you might have your screens in multiple areas. You might have your screen right where people are walking in. And that's probably where you want to show all of your classes, right? Like your HIT, your yoga, your rowing, your cycling. But then you might have like room schedulers, or you might have smaller screens outside of like Studio A or Studio B. And if that's the case, then you probably only want that calendar that's going to be obviously associated with Studio A to only show those events or that information. So grouping allows you, again, to group all the calendars and then basically display all those grouped calendars on your layout or your signage. So to create a group, it's very simple. We go back to the top left here where it says create, and we hit new group. and then we give it a group name. So group tests right here. And then we just choose simply all the calendars that we want to be a part of this group. Once you hit create, then that group is obviously created. If you need to modify it in any way, maybe you need to remove calendars, add calendars. As you can see, when I hover over all the different groups I have this gear, and this allows me to manage, obviously, the calendar or the group information. I can simply delete it, or again, I can simply add more or remove. Same thing goes with the calendar itself. As you can see, when I hover over the calendar, I have the settings icon. That's the manage calendar. At any point, if I needed to delete the calendar, or maybe I needed to change the color, because again, maybe for whatever reason, the yellow is just too bright, I can't see it. Any sort of changes you want to make to your general calendar information, this is how you essentially would do that. So I'll go back. So for the most part, that is the walkthrough of our calendar application. If there's anything that you have questions on, or you just want more clarity on anything, please let us know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and thank you.